Hello guys, and welcome to episode 193 of the Next Gen Basecast. Asim's not here this week, and neither is Gary, and Aaron is poorly. So you've got me, you have Andy, and you have Nico.
Who is also poorly, but made it.
Yes, Nico's hardcore.
Oh, that sounds like a flex there, Nico.
Challenge Aaron to come to the podcast next week.
So yeah, you've got us three this week because I say Gary and Asim are swanning around in New York City and taunting Nico with all of the things that he can't have from the Nintendo store. But apart from that, how are we doing, folks? Are we all well?
Yeah, not bad. Busy week, but nice to chill, have a little drinky, despite being a school night. But whatever.
And how about Nico? Are you good? Apart from
yeah. Apart from being a bit ill, all good on my end. Yeah,
good times. So, we will start off as always with what we've been playing. So, Nico, I will start with yourself. And is it going to be a one and done?
I was going to say, is it Destiny, Nico? Is that what you've been playing?
It is not Destiny. I haven't played any Destiny.
YouTube thumbnail face.
World-ending crisis.
I've put in 60 hours to Pokemon since it came out on Friday. I've done a lot of Pokemon Legends Arceus since then. So, I want to do right by the eventual review that should be coming in the next week, bit over a week, I think. But
very nice.
Yeah, that's been it. I think it probably says a lot that I played 60 hours on where my thoughts are heading with it.
Have you caught them all yet?
I'm really close. That's kind of the aim by the end of this week, is to have finished the Pokédex. So
wow,
I've literally,
very nice.
I've seen all but 9 Pokemon.
Okay.
And I've caught all but 19. But the thing about this game is that you don't just have to catch them anymore. You've got to complete objectives with each Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like fill out its entry. And so it doesn't truly count as like a completed Pokédex until you've done everything with every Pokemon. Well, at least, sorry, not everything, but like 10 requirements.
Wow.
So it's pretty. The end game is pretty in depth. But yeah, I'll leave it at that and go into much more detail on the eventual review.
I mean,
cool.
that sounds like a beast of a game.
Yeah.
I have to say, I've been watching my lad play it, and it's piqued my interest. I'm quite keen to give it a go, and I've not touched a Pokemon game for years.
Would you say it's Pikachu'd your interest? For those listening to the podcast, Andy has just left the building. Okay,
it might have done.
That was poor.
Early Nico hot take.
Third best Pokemon game ever.
Wow.
Ooh.
See, I haven't played a Pokemon game since probably. I mean, I haven't played one properly since like Blue. It's been,
so the first one.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I got really, really into Pokemon Blue when it was out, as I was a kid, and everything since then not grabbed me. But lots of people are saying this one's really good.
I always think of it like this. I have Pokemon Gold and Silver as my all-time best, because that's still to this day the only game to have 2 regions in one game. And then Yellow, Red, Blue, because they created this whole thing.
Yeah.
OG.
And then everything else just falls under, because everything else is still following the same structure as those games. The only one that was different and had more longevity was Gold and Silver, because when you finished one set of gyms and everything, you had another set of gyms to go do. Whereas everything else, it is still 8 gyms, Elite Four, Rage Pokemon, complete the Pokédex. That's it. Didn't have really. I mean, there is depth to it. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to oversimplify it, because there'll be a whole community of people who are hunty shining or looking for perfect IV Pokemon, doing battles online and all sorts. So there is stuff there, but it's all based off of those original games. whereas Arceus is the first one to do something completely different.
Okay.
And in my opinion, has succeeded. But yeah,
So
nice. I'm getting some big Monster Hunter vibes off it, I have to say.
Yeah, I was going to say,
which is interesting.
When you say completely different, is it? I've seen some footage of it, and I don't know if I'm getting the wrong end of this, but like, is it where it's a bit like sort of Final Fantasy open world where you're walking around and then you see stuff happening and you go over there and then you fight them sort of in real time?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You could still go into battles, and it follows a semi-traditional Pokemon battling system.
Okay.
They've innovated on that a little bit as well, but you generally it is open world. You pick a place you want to go to from where you are. You fast travel to that particular location, and then you can just go around that entire location as you please by several different methods, which are really cool as well. And you see the Pokemon out in the wild. So I've spent a lot of time where I've been trying to finish my Pokédex. I've been looking for specific Pokemon, and you're literally looking around trying to see, okay, are they over there? No. Okay, are they over there? No. Okay, you can't find them. Okay, they're not here now. I have to come back later and hope that they're around. At another time, you're not just walking through grass like you used to, waiting for a battle to initiate. And then when you find it, if you're not careful, especially if they're like smaller Pokemon, you can spook them, they'll run away, and then you've lost the Pokemon.
So
there's a lot of like strategy that goes into it, trying to like throw berries so that they go eat the berry and then you throw the ball from behind, and try and like catch their attention. There's lots of thinking that goes into it, as opposed to previously where you're just hitting Ultra Ball, Ultra over and over again until they get caught. You can still do that. You can still initiate a battle, but there is still a chance that the Pokemon might run away.
Right.
More aggressive Pokemon don't do that. They will battle you, and they will stick around and try and like hurt you. Even when you're not in battle, they can damage you.
Okay.
As a person, and if
I was going to say, it's like you take damage as a trainer now. It's like the Pokemon can actually beat the crap out of you.
Yeah. So there's some really cool new. Fresh. And I'm kind of thinking of it as, and I haven't played a lot of Breath of the Wild, and I know people don't like the comparison, but a bit of Breath of the Wild, a bit of Animal Crossing, because there's a building, crafting aspect to it, and going around and collecting stuff, and then a bit of Pokemon as well, and a bit of Monster Hunter. Like it feels like a mold of a lot of different games.
Cool. So yeah, you're one and done. For probably the first time in the podcast history, and indeed the history that I've known you, is not Destiny 2.
The Destiny and no football game either.
Oh, yeah, well, we will come on to that, because news. But, Andy, what have you been playing?
Not a huge amount since the last podcast, to be honest with you, because I've just been busy as hell. A bit more Guardians of the Galaxy. Which is still good, still very good. I feel like it's hitting its stride. I'm about halfway through the game, and I have to say it's taken a while for it to kind of get its hooks in, but now it's actually kind of revealing its overarching story. So I've just finished the section of the game that's on Nowhere.
Right, okay.
Without any kind of spoilers, because anyone who's seen the film Guardians of the Galaxy will know there is a place called Nowhere, but no context as to what happens there. But I've just finished that, and I'm on the mission after that.
Cool.
So yeah, really enjoying that. Carrying on playing Resident Evil, obviously. Episode's gone up today, so hawking my own wares. Go and watch that. Please go and watch it, because I'm just enjoying playing it. I don't think I mentioned it last week, but I'm playing Mario Golf as well on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
Which is really good. It's one of the best Mario Golf games I've played in a very long time. It's just really good. It's got an interesting sort of campaign, and it's got some interesting sort of mechanics in it with this concept of speed golf. So the idea is you hit the ball.
This.
Yeah. So they play with it in different ways, in different modes of the game. So there's the traditional speed golf where you all hit the ball at the same time, and then you have to run after it. So it's like actually being on a golf course. You hit your ball, then you have to trudge after it. Then you hit it again, then you have to trudge after it. But the trick is the player that finishes the course the quickest wins. But it's not just a case of hitting and hitting and hitting until you get it in the hole and trying to win that way, because if you get over par, you get time penalties. So you get time added on to your overall time. Right. But there's also like other. So I don't know whether it's playable outside of the campaign, but there's a particular point in the campaign where you get to a course that's been damaged by like subsidence, and you have to play what they call cross-country golf, where you have a time limit and the entire course is open, and you basically have to get the ball in every hole on the course. So you don't have to follow specific hole tracks. You can hit it wherever you want, but you have to get it in every hole. So you have to plan your way around the course, and it's on multiple levels. So you have to be sort of like doing lob shots to chip it up onto.
That sounds mental.
It's really good though, and it's really the mechanics in it are really intricate and really good fun. And you know, it's the usual Mario fluff as far as the story's concerned, but it's you know, it's good. It's a good fun game of golf, and we've had a couple of multiplayer sessions as a family, and it's becoming a favourite as well for the multiplayer aspect. There's also battle golf in it,
okay,
which is like an arena, and you have a time limit, and you have to get
have you got balloons on your back.
You've not got balloons on your back, but there are like power-ups around the arena and like hazards that you can knock the opponents into. So, yeah, it's good fun. It's really good. We shall have to do it. We shall have to do a Let's Look.
Yeah,
let's do a Let's Look.
Yeah, we'll do a Let's
look at Mario Golf. Another new series. Go watch it on our YouTube channel.
Indeed.
And I think that's about it for me.
Okay.
I did start Nobody Saves the World, but I've only played one session of that.
Okay.
So I keep meaning to get back into that.
Cool. Have you? Did you give the pedestrian a go in the end?
I installed it. Like I said, I did install it just after we finished playing it on our Let's Look At. But I haven't got around to it. I just haven't got around to it. Yeah. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me. So it's sat on my Xbox waiting for me. I might give it a go after this. Who knows?
There we go. Well, I was playing. What was I playing?
Oh, we know what you were playing.
No,
we know what you're playing, but I don't think you're allowed to talk about it.
Well, I was going to say I was playing Rainbow Six Extraction.
Oh yeah,
because that's obviously on Game Pass, and that was a case of we waited till we sort of had to wait till launch to get hold of that. So I've been playing that a bit, and then I started getting a load of stuff ready for a review. And then Thursday evening, I got an email saying, "Hey, here's a code for Horizon Forbidden West," and that is what I've been playing since, and that's as much as I can say about it.
And that makes complete sense.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Rainbow Six Extraction, hot take.
It's good. It's
okay.
That does sound like a hot take from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. Like, I think
it's a video game.
Good question mark, like instead of the exclamation mark. No, it's all, like it's good. It's not a long term thing. I think I played a bit with Asim, and you know we got some footage sorted. We got some footage sorted for the review, and you know sort of played a little bit of it. Went through a couple of the areas. And it feels like, and I use this term very, it sounds very harsh when I say it, but it feels like DLC.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like considering what I know about it, yeah.
It kind of feels like, you know, almost like Halloween DLC for Rainbow Six Siege. And some of it's really strange in that they've put like, you know, the barricading mechanics, and you can reinforce the walls and stuff like that. You know, all of those proper mechanics in like, you know, the sort of hardcore realistic Rainbow Six game. They've put it into a game about this weird parasite that's coming in, and essentially everything that you've got there is an alien. You have to like, some of the mechanics are really cool. Like you can shine this light that you've got, and it kind of makes the enemies they call it bioluminescent, so you can see them through walls and stuff like that as a tactic. But like a lot of the missions are kind of, you go here, you have to do one of, I think there's probably about 9 or 10 different mission types. and then you get 3 of those strung along on one map. So you kind of like the first one, for example, if you've played before and you've lost an operative, which I did because I'm crap, you can potentially have the ability to go back and get that operative. Because if you die in the field and your team don't bring you back with them, your operative gets left in that place, and then you have to go back and get them at a later time, and they're unable to be played as. So like they're removed from the roster temporarily until you get them back.
Yeah.
So
do you remember that in Maze when someone gets left in a room?
Yeah.
You can give a crystal to go back and get them.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. Like that, I like that element to it. But yeah, the whole thing about it's just kind of, it feels very repetitive. I mean, there are those, the fact that there's 3 per like mission, if you like, is quite nice. So if you start off and you have a difficult one, say take down a prime version of the enemy, like you'll get this massive hulking great parasite man, shittest superhero ever.
Parasite man.
You'll have this great big thing coming after you. You'll have to take it down, and then if that kind of depletes your squad, or you're all left with hardly any health, you get to the end of it, and then there's an extraction zone, and you can say, right, I can either extract now and get whatever XP we've got, whatever we've got there. If we've recovered, if we've recovered a body of a teammate, we can take that back and we can just get out of it now. Or if we think we can do the next mission, we can go on and continue and get more. So you've got like 3 spots at which you can extract. But yeah, it just feels very much like a game that could and potentially should have been DLC. But the fact is, if it's on Game Pass, if you've got an Xbox, if you've got Game Pass, it's probably worth a go.
With a question mark.
I just wonder how long it's going to last. I don't think it's going to have the legs of Siege, because at this point nothing has the legs of Siege. So
do you think it's been kicked out to Game Pass because it's likely not going to find an audience anywhere else?
Possibly. I mean, it's it's Ubisoft, it's Rainbow Six. Like it will find an audience, but I think they've probably been. Yeah, I think they've probably been quite cautious with what they've done with the launch of it. So, but yeah, it's worth a go. That's probably as much as I need to say on that one. And yeah, as I say, we can't talk about the other thing, so we will move into the news, and at which point I'm probably about to just sit back for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just going to chill out for this one and just let Nico go for it.
I mean,
I say 5 minutes, it'll probably be half an hour. After the ridiculous or sort of acquisition of Activision from Microsoft, PlayStation launched a shot across the bow, and they bought Bungie.
Yep.
I mean, it's not quite, all of the Activision things level of crazy. Like it's not quite World of Warcraft and Call of Duty, but I mean, you consider Bungie have obviously Destiny 2, and also they made Halo, and now it's on the
journey though.
Yeah, now it's on PlayStation.
From Mac to Microsoft to Sony.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. So
unnamed IP as well that they're working on at the moment. So there's a new thing which I'm going to assume Sony saw in the build-up.
Yeah,
I really liked what they saw, and
so I mean, I want to get the most knowledgeable and informed opinion on what's happening with PlayStation and Bungie. So, Andy, what do you think?
Yeah,
they're going to be doing some Destiny stuff.
I kid, of course. Our resident Destiny head, Nico. Go nuts, man. What do you think?
Right. Trim round this bit, Ben. Trim round this bit. This is going to go on for a while.
I mean, where do I even begin? It sort of came at a point. I was like balls deep in Pokemon when I saw it, and then I was like, okay, I need to put this down for a minute.
Which Pokemon?
Snorlax.
Yeah, dude.
I tried to gather as much information because there was obviously so many questions that came around it. But I think Bungie were really good at quickly putting out some tidbits, basically saying everything is staying cross-platform. They're not, nothing is going exclusive. That's the first thing. I think it's always good to preface it with that, because when a company, either Microsoft or Sony buys a studio, there is always that, does that mean, all of those games are going to be exclusive? And they've said, without a shadow of a doubt, nothing is going exclusive, which is great, because a game like Destiny can't be exclusive to one platform. There's too many players on other platforms. It would just kill the game. But what it means for the game, in my opinion, is that, considering they also stated that, yes, we're buying Bungie are still acting and operating completely independent.
Yep.
They just have basically all the extra money now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think, okay, Bungie's vision, which they had to compromise previously under Activision, they get to keep that, but they have the resources that they then had at the beginning of Destiny and Destiny 2. Because those two games both got off to really rocky starts, because they had to change loads of stuff, and they had to cater to what Activision was doing. And we see now what Bungie wanted to accomplish with Destiny 2. And in my opinion, the game is in the best place it's been at since we started, and we're about to get a huge release. Should further improve upon things. So, I mean, there's a timeline that's already in place for future releases. So my hope is that, well, they've stated none of that changes, but my hope is that this deal will come in and will reinforce the two releases that we have over the next few years, which is going to be Lightfall next year, maybe year after, depending on whatever timeframes they choose, and then the final shape will be what they call the last release in the Light and Darkness saga. Whether that means that's Destiny 3 afterwards or not, who knows? But now with Sony behind them, they can really do what they want, and they can do it at a scale that they want, with whatever they want behind it. So for me, there is no bad or negative side to this deal, because Bungie are going to continue to operate completely independently, but they just have all the money behind them now.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing that I saw somebody say was that, like, PlayStation want their Fortnite. Like they kind of want that one game that everybody plays and everybody puts money into, but it's free. And kind of almost just brought that outright with Destiny 2. I mean, obviously, a lot of things in Fortnite will always be free, and it's mainly cosmetic stuff that you get, whereas Destiny obviously has the expansion packs and all of the other stuff that we've taken the piss out of Nico for before. But like, I think the way that they've done this, they've kind of sowed the seed and said, look, okay, well, we kind of know what we want. We know that we want to get into like games as service, because I think as part of this, they announced, or it's been confirmed, that Sony have, was it 10? So Chief Financial Officer, here we go. This is from Video Games Chronicle. It says, while speaking on the recent acquisition of Bungie for $3.6 billion, Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki, sorry, I should probably butchered that, also revealed that the Destiny developer is working on a major new IP, and the company plans to harness Bungie's experience in the live service space going forward. And then during that call as well, they also said that they have 10 live service games that will be released by 2026.
Wow. 3.6 billion, that's about as much as it costs to actually buy all of the content for
You
Destiny
stole
2,
my joke. You stole my joke, you bastard.
Well, actually, no, I'm not going to go to that.
Actually,
you know what's going to be really hard?
3.7 billion.
You know what's
they got a deal.
was going to say, you know what's going to be really hard is when PlayStation actually get to Bungie Studio and they find out that everybody that was working on it before has now been sunsetted and they can no longer access them.
Ha 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 ha. They've all been sunset by now, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
We put all of our developers in the vault because...
I am actually very interested to see if the pricing model changes at all, because a lot of the justification that Bungie has used, and I'm inclined to believe them when they said it, was that Eververse, you know, the in-game store where you can purchase things with real money, that is all directly tied to the content that we get. And so things like 2 extra dungeons being included in the deluxe edition, but not being able to be, you know, purchased, you know, with the seasons, things like that. I'm really curious to see if that attitude changes now that realistically the stuff isn't tied to these purchases anymore. You know, they are, you know, they have a budget that they're going to be given, and you know, well, that's a very simplified way of putting it. I'm sure. It's
I mean, I think the thing is when you are an independent studio, you have to kind of fight for every penny that you get. But
exactly
now they're technically part of Sony, or they're technically part of PlayStation Studios.
Yeah,
but they have the money behind them for that, but they still have the autonomy in creating what they want to create. And I think that's a really good point, because I know me and you have disagreed on the Destiny model before. You know, I don't necessarily think it's great. I think it's nickel and diamond to a point. And
I do want to on that. I don't necessarily think it's amazing, but for someone who plays as much as I do, I personally think I get an incredible amount of value out of what I pay. But I agree. I don't think it's the best model in the world. You know, in an ideal world, you'd get everything for one price, and that's that. But yeah. Sorry, please carry on.
No. I mean, I think the thing is we can have a conversation about it. We can disagree on it because we're adults, and that's what adults do. And you know, I think the thing is when you have that level of weight behind you from a company like PlayStation, you know, or Sony in general, whatever it is that the branding is now, you know, you can maybe get a bit more creative with things. And I think the thing that I would be really interested to see would be, you know, like you say, are they going to have that? Are they going to change the pricing structure and stuff? And personally, what I think would probably be a way forward, whether it's with Destiny 2 or whether it's with Destiny 3 or whatever it is they go to iterate on, I think I can potentially see it essentially doing a Fortnite where everything's free apart from cosmetics, and that includes your raids, that includes your dungeons, that includes everything that they would normally charge for in a big expansion. I don't know. It's going to be it'll be an interesting one.
I mean, the difference between Destiny and Fortnite, though, is Destiny hinges a lot on its solo content as well, doesn't it? Which is what they kind of sell you, really, is the solo missions. I mean, I'm right in saying, Nico, that you can jump in and play like the Crucible with the free-to-play version and a lot of the PvP stuff. But
you can do a fair amount with the free-to-play stuff.
Okay.
Not just, I mean, there's some story stuff that's going to be there. You have an opening.
Okay. It's been a long time since I've played Destiny.
I know that they make basically, as each release comes out, they make more and more stuff free to everyone. Yeah, there is a good chunk of stuff that you can do as a free player, but then as soon as you want to start doing more, you get hit by that wall. So, I mean, you know, theoretically, if they could afford to do it, then yeah, that'd be amazing for so many people, right? You just go in and that's the game and it's there. And then you want a fancy skin for your gun? Great. Go to Eververse. You want an ornament for your helmet? I mean, that's what I do anyway, you know. Because there is in-game currency where you can earn it and then buy stuff using that, but it's a selected set of stuff compared to everything that you can buy with real money. But I am, you know, as invested that I just drop some money down and do it. But that's a very personal, you know, that's different for everybody. So I know that I'm not the majority on that. But I think either if they don't change their pricing model, I'm hoping that we just see bigger expansions, bigger, more content in these drops that then make the pricing seem more justified. I think that it's going to go one of two ways. I don't think things can stay the same, because then people will then wonder, okay, well, what's the difference? Why? Sure, you're secure. You as a company are secure, but how has that trickled down to the game and the players? So I do definitely want to see one of those two change.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, this kind of wrapped up with a tweet from Jeff Keighley. Obviously, like I said, we've had three actually. If you count the acquisitions that have happened in January, let's not forget.
Yeah.
It is the 2nd of February as we're recording. It is Groundhog Day. It is Groundhog Day. It is Groundhog. No, I'll stop that now.
Please don't do
that. As we're recording, and yeah, Jeff Keighley tweeted, like, we've had 2K acquired Zynga.
Yep.
Activision obviously acquired by Microsoft, and Sony have now acquired Bungie. That's all in the space of a month. So everyone's kind of bracing themselves for what's coming next. And Jeff Keighley has said here, he tweeted out saying, "Have heard from multiple people, as you might suspect, there are a few other big video game deals in the final stages of negotiations. It's going to be an interesting year."
Nintendo buys Konami.
I mean, Andy,
Sega buys Soldier Boy for his consoles.
Right, I was going to ask you if you had any serious suggestions, but
in all fairness, I could see something like Nintendo buys Konami.
Okay.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Square Enix?
Potentially someone buying Konami.
Sony buying Square Enix, that could happen. Somebody asked me about it earlier. They said, is this a real thing? Or is it just someone throwing a name out? I said at the time, maybe it's just someone throwing a name out, but I thought back to that Final Fantasy VII remake exclusivity, period.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there is something there. But then again, I thought, I actually thought that if Bungie was going to get bought by anyone, I thought they'd be bought back by Microsoft with the way Microsoft was going.
Well, I think there was something that I saw where apparently Microsoft thought that the price for Bungie was too expensive.
Oh,
and that's after they dropped however much on Active Blizzard.
Yeah, so that's after they've dropped all of the money on Activision. Yeah. But no, apparently, yeah, there was something. I swear I saw it last year where they said, "Oh, we looked at buying Bungie and it was too expensive." But I mean, it's interesting that you say Square Enix. Yeah. The ones that I've kind of either seen or had a thought about, and I've thought, you know what, maybe that could happen. There's been, Square Enix and Sony, also Capcom and Sony. Obviously, Sony bought, or Sony, did they buy Evo? Like I think they either bought or now heavily sponsor
they did something,
Evo.
Didn't they? Yeah.
And obviously, Evo fighting game tournament, Capcom makes sense. And then obviously, Konami as well. There you go. Konami as well is the other one that they're not doing anything with their IPs.
Somebody needs to buy that.
Yes. It's like, look at the IPs that Konami are sitting on. You've got Castlevania, you've got Pez, you've got Silent Hill. That's the one that everybody wants. There's some of the stealth game as well that I can't quite remember what they own the rights to. But if they could just buy the IPs or buy them outright. And then of course Sega, there's them there, and also the kind of mega shadow in the room is EA. Like, I think there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of. Can you imagine if Sony? Sorry, go on, Nico.
EA are rich enough to start buying them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Can you? I mean, could you imagine if Sony bought EA and just went, "Oh, by the way, FIFA's only on PlayStation now"?
Yeah.
I mean, it won't happen. But
I think they must value too high. They must be EA because they just make so much money.
Yeah,
and that's Ultimate Team.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like you could say the same with Activision and COD, and they
looked, that's true.
They looked unbuyable this time last year, but look what's happened. I mean,
what about someone acquiring Ubisoft?
Well, I mean, the other thing as well. I was talking to somebody about this, and they said, "Well, I don't think that Sony would buy EA because EA are already in bed with Microsoft on Xbox with Game Pass."
Yeah.
And then I said, well, obviously then Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox as well. So is that a thing in the air? But ultimately it's who can swing the most money around. And if I'm honest, I think the most, not the most likely, but the most bankable option is Nintendo, because Nintendo, we all know, are sitting on billions and billions and billions of pounds in cash.
Yeah.
They don't need, they wouldn't necessarily need to break a sweat and buy, anyone. But so that is the acquisition side. Crazy stuff this week, absolutely crazy. When do you think the next one's going to come along? Do you think we're going to make it a week on the podcast without having to talk about acquisitions or the other thing that we're about to talk about in a few minutes?
I was going to say, it is becoming a recurring thing, isn't it? We should rename this podcast the Acquisitions and...
Well, no, because we're talking about Battlefield first.
You're sticking to the agenda, are you?
Yes,
that's boring.
Sadly, yes. EA have sort of said that the company remains committed to Battlefield 2042 after the disappointing launch. So essentially they've come out and said, yep, we know it flopped. We're not going to tell you how many copies we've sold because we don't do that when they do normally. They've said that they have delayed the release of Season 1 until the summer. So that was originally supposed to be here in March. It was originally supposed to be here next month. They've delayed it to the summer to, I think, essentially fix or overhaul the game. And then, it just kind of... There's a little bit of, like, PR fluff in all of this. I think... where is it? We've put here... Battlefield 2042 was always an ambitious game, and our team's pushed to innovate across many dimensions, including massive scale and 128 player matches, new dynamic gameplay, and more. He also went on to say, as much as I hate to admit it, DICE is a studio that's been able to do this a number of times now. They go back in, rebuild at the core, and re-engage the community, when he was talking about kind of getting people back on board. I mean, I know, Andy, it's not necessarily your kind of game or your arena, but like, what do EA do with Battlefield at this point?
Is the market oversaturated with games like this? You have your CODs, you have your Battlefields, you have your Fortnites, you have your Apexes, you have your Destinies. These, like, it's going back to what you said in the PlayStation and Bungie section, that Sony have 10 live service games in development. Are there too many live service games and multiplayer games on the market? Are we getting to a point where the bubble is bursting on these kind of games, and everyone only has so much time in their day to play a game? And is it coming to the point where someone needs to give up a franchise and just put something to bed and say, look, this isn't profitable for us anymore. We're not going to be able to claw anyone back from the Calls of Duties or the Fortnites. I don't know. You are right. I have very little interest in Battlefield. Thank you for asking me the question.
That's all right. I was going to say, EA have a history of killing franchises.
They do, rather. Can I have a Burnout, please?
You're so sad.
A good Burnout.
I just want Burnout. I just want SSX, and I just want Titanfall.
Yes.
That's it. Those three. EA. Just...
Oh, you have Apex, Ben.
Come on, Nico.
Bloody
Even
Apex.
I know that was below the belt. I don't know. It feels to me like with games like Battlefield, there's too much of one type of game on the market. And I know there's been a constant thing for years. There's always been like multiple contenders to a specific type of game. But back in the day, you could cram in a Call of Duty and a Medal of Honor in a gaming year. because they didn't demand much of your attention other than here's a campaign and get your mates round for a beer and some local multiplayer. Now,
right?
Playing games like this is effectively like having a job.
Yeah. What did you say, Nico? Sorry.
So was Medal of Honor EA?
Yes, back in the day.
Bring back Medal of Honor, scrap Battlefield.
Well,
I'll play the name alone.
Yeah.
I've not really been a massive Battlefield fan myself, so I'm trying to put that bit of bias to the side. But because I commend them for trying to do something that I do think is different from a lot of these games, which is having huge scale matches. 128 players, I believe you said. Like, that must technically take a lot of work, to have servers that can accommodate that many people in one game. So I commend them for that, but I also commend them for coming out and saying, yeah, it's not done well, and we'll try and bring it back, because then at least it shows they're listening to people and they don't have their heads in the sand. But I do think what Andy is saying has a lot of validity to it. And there are a lot of these games, and it's impossible for everyone to play all of them. And they have Apex. They already have, a game that is incredibly popular. I know they're not the same game. I know they're not doing the same thing specifically, but these live service games are all over the place. And like I say, I can say with Destiny, it is like a part-time job. Well, not even part-time. It sometimes feels like a full-time job. And I had to do a lot of playing, but it did feel like work just to get the time so that I didn't have to play for 2 weeks. I basically took 2 weeks paid time off from Destiny so that I could sort out Pokemon. These games require a lot of your attention unless you don't mind missing out on certain things. And so, when a game like Battlefield 2042 is coming out and they're doing their own, people don't want to drop Apex or Fortnite or Destiny because, I won't invest in another game because I just don't have the time.
I think the thing is as well, like if you are invested in another game and Battlefield comes out, you go, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'll play that. I'll see what it's like. And if your first impression of it is as kind of broken and technically inept as Battlefield 2042 was, you're not going to have a good time with that game. And I think, they've kind of turned around and said, look, okay, working from home didn't work for this kind of a thing, and we've had problems, and it's just not allowed us to make the game that we wanted to make. And I think at a point, like, some of that rings true, but at the same time, like, I just feel that some of it's probably kind of throwing excuses at a wall and seeing what sticks. But yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't feel like a game launch at this point in time without an apology. I just wonder if we're going to see like the CD Projekt Red yellow screen with the Battlefield logo on it instead now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that isn't the only thing that Andrew Wilson was saying. He kind of said in this that, somebody mentioned about FIFA and, sort of said, what about like play to earn? And this brings us on to the second part of our new weekly segment. No friggin' thank you, NFTs. Where
did the PG-13 version?
Yeah.
Say it like you mean it.
Got to keep that YouTube ad revenue up. But yeah, he's obviously gotten onto the subject of NFTs, and he's backtracked. He has heavily backtracked. I think it was a few months ago. He sort of said, that I see the NFTs as the future. I think I see them as a good way of doing business or something along those lines. And he's now sort of said, oh, well, maybe not.
Gee, I wonder why he's done that. It's not like people hate them or anything like that, or find the concept of them almost horrifically offensive.
Yeah, I just...
Dear video games industry.
Yeah. But no, it was an interesting call because I think everybody was more or less nailed on that EA were going to be doing something with NFTs, weren't they?
They were most likely.
Their money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the worrying one for me was obviously going to be with FIFA.
Yeah.
You know, like you have one card that is 99 rated across everything, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's the perfect footballer card, and there's only one of them in the world, and where is it? Who has it? And
yeah,
we could suddenly sell it for thousands and thousands of pounds, and but
I mean, if anyone, EA would look at NFTs and just see the old free real estate.
Yeah, it's not real. It's not real. Yeah. But this does bring us on to
Andy, who owned an Amiga and played a lot of this publisher's games back in the 90s. A small part of him died earlier this week.
Yep. So Team 17, they are a company that they're actually fairly local to me and Andy. They're just up the road. You know, kind of almost like little pride of the UK games industry sphere. Kind of, they've been around for years, decades, and not to make Andy feel any older, but yeah, they have.
They did an Anakin, didn't they?
Yeah.
Really? Did an Anakin.
I mean, they said on Monday that they were partnering with blockchain company Reality Gaming Group to create a range of NFTs based on the Worms series.
Because everybody asked for it, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Every single person asked for it.
And you know what? Everything went perfectly fine and nobody complained.
The internet loved it.
Actually, no, that's
best
not
idea they ever had.
That's not what happened at all.
Oh God!
Yeah, that this did not go down well. Basically,
makes sense. Nobody wants NFTs except for the people who are trying to make them.
Yep, like fans went ballistic. Journalists went to town.
Their developers,
game developers that work with them,
had a huge outcry.
Yep.
It was the developers of is it Going Under? Basically,
yeah, I think...
put an announcement out on tweet effectively saying,
oh. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just I've spent this week trying to explain what NFTs are, because I've seen it starting to creep into the football space as well. And obviously the other podcast that I do, kind of, you know, the following that I've got from that, people are asking, sort of saying, oh, what are NFTs? And I got quoted in an article about it, and it's just kind of, I'm fed up of it. I'm utterly fed up of reading about companies that go, oh, well, it's low, what was it? It's low impact, or it's
low impact is not no impact.
Exactly. Well, it was environmentally friendly is the other buzzword at the moment, and so this was the thing that made me laugh, right? In the Worms one, it claims that the cost of minting 100,000 NFTs uses the same energy as the yearly kettle use of 11 households.
It's quite a lot, isn't it?
Is that something to be proud of? Is that something to be proud of?
Yeah,
really?
Like 100,000 NFTs uses the same energy as a yearly kettle of 11 households. Do you know how much it would take me to copy and paste 11,000 like images?
Yeah, exactly.
Or write Python script to go through a web page and take all the images out. Yeah.
It doesn't seem as much of a brag as they think it is.
No, and I think the thing is, like, if there's any like American or foreign listeners to this podcast, like the kettle usage in the UK, obviously kettles use a lot of energy because they have to get so hot that they boil water.
Mm-hmm.
And there are stories from, you know, when I was growing up that after like Coronation Street or EastEnders had finished, they had a surge in the national grid because everybody went to the kitchen and put the kettle on.
Because we bloody love a cuppa, isn't it?
Yeah, and, you know, like I make in our house, we have like maybe 3 cups of tea a day, and kettles use a lot of energy.
Right, mate.
Well, you know, but like we boil the kettle 3 times a day, so it's like that uses a lot of energy, right? I would not want 11 households worth of 3 kettle boilings a day, you know, in a year to make 100,000 images. Just this whole thing is just doing my head in, and I want it to go away.
I think the thing that annoys me about it is it's so transparently marketing and management BS. It is so transparently someone at the top goes, oh, we can make a bit more money if we do this cool thing. And this person from this organization has told me it's a perfectly legitimate and 100% legal thing for us to do. Yeah, it's like some kind of tax haven write-off thing, isn't it? It's like, you know, when will the penny drop and companies go, hang about, before we even announce that we're planning on doing it, let's just sit back and think, should we be doing this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is amazing that nobody's kind of looked at this and gone, everybody else's NFTs announcements have gone really badly. Ours will be different, though.
Yeah. At least the companies that focus on ecology and preservation are not getting into the NFT space, though.
Ugh.
Yes, let's not talk about the WWF, not the one that involved people hitting each other with chairs.
That's a discussion for a different podcast, but yeah, that threw me.
It's just awful.
Can they just go away? NFTs, please just go away.
No.
Just stop.
Well, somebody else had to backtrack as well, didn't they? So our next little point about Troy Baker.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah.
That was a huge one. Like,
yeah,
I was so angry.
So the fact that Troy Baker's kind of turned around and gone, oh yeah, I'm not doing the NFT thing anymore, and sorry for saying that you're a hater if you disagree with me.
Yeah, he was like, he came out looking so badly when he first announced.
Yep.
It was just like, why?
Yeah.
Thing is, though, is a lot of celebrities that are getting involved in it. Like, what was Kieran talking about the other day? It was Mike from Linkin Park. Mike Shinoda.
Oh, yeah.
From Linkin Park was big in NFTs, and then backtracked saying, oh, yeah, I didn't really fully understand what they were all about. It's like, don't back something
until you know.
That you don't understand. You've been sold buzzwords, and you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, do you guys remember Herbalife?
Yeah.
Where, you know, they'd look for ambassadors, and you buy a bunch, and then you buy it for cheaper, so you then sell it on and make your money back plus more. This is what it feels like. These high-profile people coming and saying, "Hey guys, look at these," and I've got this partnership going, and
it's a trapezoid.
It's just mad.
Anyway,
like, this isn't a thing that needs to exist.
No,
like, just. We don't want to
make it. If you want to make something cool, make an actual print. Like,
yeah, I
would buy potentially. I don't know. I'd possibly buy like a cool little Worms art print if it was 15, 20 quid, whatever. But I'm not getting into crypto. I
was going to say it'd be 500 worm coins, and you'd have to make your transaction on the blockchain. But yeah.
Anyway, that's enough about that.
How are the Scientologists going to get all the celebrities back? They'll just have to start selling NFTs themselves.
NFTs of Xenu. But no, the I want to get off this topic because it just makes me sad.
Yes.
Let's move on to like quick bits of news now. Discord has officially started rolling out PlayStation 5 support. And also PS4 support, so I guess you could just call it PlayStation support. You can now, you can now go into Discord and you can link your PlayStation Network ID with Discord, so Discord can now show you. No, not the PlayStation Classic, Andy. You can now have Discord show what PS4 or PS5 game you are playing. Have you guys done it yet?
Yep, I've linked mine up. I actually had a prompt in Discord to do it. They're pushing that out, and it's hopefully the first step of towards the big one, which is native integration on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's all the integration is." I'm like, no, it's baby steps. Yep, baby steps. Exactly. I can't wait to have Discord on PSN. I think if they do it right, and I think with the PS5, like the potential for doing things like remote quick looks, I guess, or remote let's look ats. We could have a group Discord video chat, and one of us could broadcast the PlayStation from there.
Is that because you don't want me to come and sit in your front room?
Yeah,
anymore?
I just don't like you anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it's so well done for. I know it's not the exact same thing, but if you have Spotify on the PlayStation, theoretically, it's not going to be too different, other than it needing to then pick up your voice for a mic. But just sending the audio through over the existing audio of the game is done so well already. So we know it's possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. Apple Music works in the same way as well, I think.
Yeah. It's funny I should say Spotify enough.
My mind was slightly blown.
Yeah, I haven't used it in a while, so the last time I did was Spotify.
Okay.
Not play Destiny, not shilling Apple. It's like I don't know you, Nico. Who are you?
I'm ill, and I'm not myself.
So next quick bit of news. We did suspect this may happen, but the FTC has reportedly stepped in to review Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal. Basically going to be an antitrust hearing. Do you think they're going to stop it?
They would have known in advance that this was going to happen. They would have planned for this. It's not going to have caught them by surprise.
No, fair enough. Nico, can you see them pulling the plug?
No chance. Actually, no. I think it's a formality. I think it's it sounds maybe scarier than it is, but I think they'll look into it and then they'll go, okay.
Next headline next week: Microsoft buys the FTC.
Gonna say Phil's there just handing out yearly subscriptions to Game Pass to all the FTC people. Going, give these kids. It's all right.
What else have we got here? Final. Well, but not the final, because we've had 2 more bits come in. Wow, just before we started recording. The next bunch of Xbox Game Pass games have been confirmed. So coming on the 3rd of February, which is yesterday as you listen to this, tomorrow as we record, we've got Contrast, Dreamscaper, and Telling Lies. Next week, we've got Besiege, which is a game preview, Crossfire X, Edge of Eternity, Skull, the Hero Slayer, The Last Kids on Earth, and the Staff of Doom. And then on Valentine's Day, we have Ark Ultimate Survivor Edition and Infernax. Any of those take your fancy? Because I think some of them are potentially in the B tier this month, and that sounds a bit harsh, but
I've had my eye on Infernax since they put the launch trailer out the other week. It's kind of a Castlevania-y sort of.
It's an Andy game.
Action. It's an Andy game, yeah. It does look very good. I think Skull the Hero Slayer is a similar sort of vibe. Besiege is interesting because I had Besiege for a few years on PC. It's sort of a little physics puzzle game where you have to build siege engines and knock down walls of castles and stuff like that.
Is that the same one that basically led to a bunch of memes? Or am I
possibly
thinking of a different one?
Go and Google it.
Okay.
It's quite good fun, though. I'm interested that it's effectively an early access game on Xbox, but it's a good fun one.
Mm-hmm. Nico, what about yourself?
My kids quite like it because.
Yeah. Are you intrigued, Nico?
I mean, there's nothing that I'll play, but I think it's good when you have, what's that, 10 games coming every month. So I think it's good to have. I mean, I think Andy saying he had his eye on one already shows the value in bringing these types of games in there. There will always be a group of people who think, "Oh, yeah, that looks interesting," and may not have wanted the money for it. So I'm all for it, even if we don't have sort of big quote unquote games. All for it. Having said that, Telling Lies, no idea what it's about, never heard of it before, but it looks like it's something different.
Did you ever play Her Story?
Say that again.
Did you play Her Story?
No.
Okay, so that was the same guy, and it was basically you kind of had to find footage from somebody, this interview of a woman who annoyingly, I played it on an iPad on a plane, and I went through the whole thing, and I can't remember all that much about it. All I remember is that I bloody loved it at the time. But essentially what happens is like you had to go through stuff and like scroll through some files or like find things within things, and like you eventually piece together this entire video story of what had happened. And the story that you thought it was at the beginning is definitely not the story that you thought that it was at the end. So Telling Lies is kind of his sequel to that. And I was really interested by it at the time. And then it came out, and I think it came out in a time when there was loads of other stuff coming out, and I completely forgot about it. So the fact that it's coming to Game Pass now is perfect. I am all over that.
So I just Googled it, and actually, yeah, it does seem like something that I can actually really get behind, especially because I doubt it's going to be a super long game. So, it's something that I can just sink 10 hours into whatever and get a good story out of it. I said this last year that Miles Morales was one of my favorite games of the year because it was a short story, single player, linear game. And I sort of looked at it like it was a film. So having, this game, I'm looking at it now on the screenshots, because that looks, almost exactly like something I'd like to just,
it's probably like a
series on Netflix or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably an evening that you can kind of get involved with and sort of get through it. So I'm definitely in for that one. The last bit of news, which is kind of snuck up on us tonight, is that there's going to be a preview video going live, or preview event kind of thing, later on in the month for Ghostwire Tokyo, which is the Bethesda, or the other Bethesda PS5 exclusive, or timed PS5 exclusive. And the YouTube description for it kind of leaked that it's coming out in March.
That's quite soon.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about it. I've not really been following it, to be honest with you. But what I've seen of it looks interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Nico, your thoughts on it? Because like, I think I saw it initially, and it was like, oh, this looks okay. And then the second trailer came out. I was like, oh, this looks a bit more horror-y than I thought it did.
Yeah. I thought I'm not really. It's going to sound really terrible. I find it hard to get into new IPs because I'm so invested into sort of existing ones that something has to really look interesting to sort of pique my interest, and it did look like it had something to it. March feels kind of dangerous to release in March. There's a lot of games over the next sort of like mid-Feb to mid-March, so it might find itself lost a bit. Elden Ring, I think, is coming out. Horizon's coming out soon. Destiny is coming out soon. But I hope, if it's true, that it still gets its fair shake, because it did look. I don't know masses.
Oh, sorry. Can you just say that again? You disappeared for a second.
I don't know, a massive amount about the game, but it did look interesting, so I hope it gets its shake.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And there was one other thing that I cannot remember off the top of my head because I didn't write it down.
Is it the the
delayed.
Suicide Squad game
Oh,
has
yes.
possibly been delayed till 2022.
That's the one.
2023.
Yes, so
We are in 2022.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has officially, I believe, been delayed.
Yep.
I think it was into next year. So, yeah, that was initially reported by Jason Schreier, and I believe Warner have come out and confirmed it.
Yes, that's what I saw.
Yeah, so
I think that's a good thing. If they need more time, they should take it.
yeah, 100%. I think the only thing after that point is you kind of look at it and go, the last game that Rocksteady released was 2015. It's nearly 8 years between projects. That's quite a big gap, but you know, I'm all for it. I want it. Like I want to play that game.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I don't. Am I right in thinking they've barely shown any gameplay, if at all? I remember a lot of cinematic.
Yeah, I think some of it was like kind of more like, here's the vibe of what we're going for, and there's a little bit of gameplay in it. So yeah,
that's what I thought, and I really, I felt the vibe of it has looked really, really good.
Yeah,
and I think the humor's going to be spot on, and the action's going to be spot on. So I'm all good with them taking the time they need, as long as when they release it, it is finished.
Is it an Arkhamverse game?
Don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it looks silly, so I don't know if it is. But either way, it'll be interesting to see if they have the Punisher in. Not the Punisher, Peacemaker.
The Punisher?
Yeah,
Bloody
sorry.
Hell. That'll be it. Acquisitions and NFTs.
Be interesting to see if they've got Peacemaker in it.
TC buys Marvel.
You know.
Yeah, he's really that solo show has done some things for the characters.
It's good.
I need to get on that.
It's very good. One thing I genuinely did not expect to see in the first episode of that show was John Cena aggressively having sex with a lady over a sink. Yeah. And I thought
it's just a lady sitting on a sink.
Yeah. And I was
sorry.
You know what? I made a joke that initially was just to one person. But I know there's another person in here that would get it, and it's now going out to the world. But I thought Edge was the rated R superstar.
I do like that.
Yay, wrestling! Anyway,
good lord!
Right after
Nintendo. There you go, Andy. You're back.
Can I go now?
After alienating Andy with that last joke and making Nico at least giggle, that is probably a good spot to put an end to this week's Next Gen Basecast. Thank you for joining us. I know we were supposed to have a fourth, but you know, Aaron's not particularly well at the moment. So get well soon, Aaron.
Get well soon.
Well,
and you know, you'll be yeah. We will have your regular podcast hosts and team back next week. In the meantime, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel at Next Gen Base, follow us on Twitter at Next Gen Base. Instagram is Next Gen Base _ because some tool stole Next Gen Base. And Facebook is, of course, Next Gen Base. But until then, Andy, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Nico, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Okay, and I will sign off. Bye.
Bye.